All right, bonus cuts are expected to happen across Wall Street this year. Bloomberg's reporting that Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Bank of America, and Citigroup are weighing slashing end-of-year bonuses by as much as 30%. This is several companies across multiple sectors have announced layoffs. It's interesting to see this happen within the financial sector here. Investment banking revenue across the 5 biggest U.S. banks was down by 47% in the first 9 months, so not necessarily surprising. What's interesting about Goldman Sachs in particular, and there specifically, they're talking about the compensation pool being slashed by a low double-digit percentage, according to Bloomberg. What's interesting is that particular division within Goldman, the global markets division, is actually seeing outperformance. But because the firm overall is, having more of a slowing, they're talking about cutting. So it's an unusual time, I would say. Yeah, it is unusual, and especially a different kind of tenor that we're hearing now from some of the largest banks who bonuses would typically be one of their major retention plays, especially for the top talent that they do have. And now it's more of a question of, for the talent hoarding that we had heard about some of them enacting and moving forward with, or at least holding on to a certain amount of headcount, just so that when they do go into next year and perhaps some of the deal pipelines finally start to open up or kind of return to turning on some of those spigots, if we do have that return or resurgence in demand, that they would have the necessary headcount. And this would be one of those major retention efforts. However, it's clear now that going into next year, there might still be a lot of lingering uncertainty about how, for each of these companies, where those deals will reemerge, and within the markets that they operate as well, where those returns will actually remain intact to make these bonuses viable or something that is not detrimental to their balance sheets going into that event. Yeah, and of course, what this also reflects is the larger trend among corporate America, where once again, we're seeing the power maybe swing back a little bit towards the employers from the employees. That said, we just heard from Secretary Walsh that a lot of companies are still having problems finding skilled workers. Yeah. So, and there has also been some reporting that for the folks who are getting laid off from white-collar, highly skilled jobs, that they won't necessarily have trouble finding other jobs because there are still companies that are hiring for that level of worker. So we'll see how the flow of workers kind of goes as we head into 2023, given all of the layoffs that we have seen. Yeah, absolutely. David Solomon, in this most recent quarterly earnings, he had said against the backdrop of uncertainty and volatility in the markets, they continue to prudently manage their resources, remain focused on risk management as they serve their clients. And you've heard that and positioned or packaged up in many different ways among some of those companies that we just showed the logos of on the screen as well.